left-hand side, it is the team of Oliver Tomajko, Abe Corrigan, and Jonathan Rosum. They will be taking on Ely, Kassis, Peter Ingram, and Corey Baumesiter. Azorius Control Mirror going on in the standard seat. Demir Inverter Mirror going on in the Pioneer seat. Meanwhile, we're going to head over to Modern, where you will get to see Oliver Tomajko playing Amulet Titan, a new convert to the Amulet Titan archetype. Going to be taking on Ely Kassis, Demir Werza.
And this is one that Corey Baumeister actually listed as what he would play in the Modern seat on this week's What We'd Play over on Star City Games. This is sort of closer to the older version of the Urza decks that we saw last format before they adopted Oko.
Yeah, I like the look of this deck. I was talking with some people when Corey posted it. More classically disruptive. Couple Thoughtseize. A lot of Archmage's Charms is my guess. Yeah, 3 copies of Archmage's Charm for Ely Kassis. Also going back to the War of Inventions.
Ooh, and we see a copy of Deprive in the deck.
Mm-hmm. Scooping up that Mystic Sanctuary.
Oof, that's another way to build that Cryptic Command combo for less mana. That's fairly attractive if you're trying to lock a game up that way.
Talisman going to be played by Ely Kassis. Good start from Tomajko. Cavern of Souls going to go ahead and put down Sakura Tribe Scout. Second Tribe Scout comes down. Castle Garenbrig also in the mix.
And with that Sakura Tribe Scout on the battlefield, this basically means that Tomajko is already threatening a Primeval Titan next turn, if he can just find another mana source or a bounce land or something to that effect here.
Absolutely. Ely Kassis has to fear that. Does have mana available, though. Disruptive options are possible.
Right, and that copy, is that Field of Ruin, I believe, the Theros art?
I think so, yeah.
Theros Beyond Death art, excuse me.
Correct. A third Sakura Tribe Scout. You love seeing the first one. Second one you can usually make use of. The third one, not so much.
What we call the mulligan.
Not a great pickup there from Tomajko. Random look at a standard match. Just, checking in on it.
Popping in. Lots of blue and white cards.
As we would expect. So I believe there were some mulligans before this match started. I'll get confirmation on that. Oh, it's sounding like both players kept 7. Okay, so an interesting keep here from Tomajko. Not super explosive, but probably knew the matchup. Maybe this hand contains a bit more resiliency. One of the key factors for resiliency, Cavern of Souls.
Mm-hmm. Right, that card is so important against all of the different counter spell decks. Are we seeing a steal with Archmage's Charm?
It looks like it. Tomajko's going to go ahead and activate that scout, and yes, we are. Sakura Tribe Scout, traitor, switches sides and heads to Ely Kassis' team.
Look, sometimes you scout, see something you like, and defer.
You got to look out for number 1, and number 1 is Sakura Tribe Scout. Hop onto the winning team, Scout. Let's see if Ely Kassis can leverage that card. Fatal Push, trying to clean up another scout. Okay. Crucially, Tomajko was able to pick up that Cavern of Souls before it would be vulnerable to Field of Ruin. Can do a lot to help force through Primeval Titan.
A lot of different decisions on this Once Upon a Time from the looks of it.
I saw a Titan as one of the options. What other choices is Tomajko mulling over? Looks like Titan going to be the pickup. It is funny. We just detailed how Tomajko is, I mean, certainly a very accomplished, very skillful player. Will have no trouble figuring out this archetype for sure, but is new to Amulet Titan And yet his deck is entirely in Japanese, so he can't actually read any of his cards while he plays it.
Look, some people just have a good memory.
I believe that. Here's that Field of Ruin being used to take out Simic Growth Chamber on Tomajko's side.
And I like how Ely set this up. Note how there were 2 copies of Simic Growth Chamber, meaning that Tomajko was pretty close to impervious to Field of Ruin that whole time.
Sure.
If Ely ever went for it, Tomajko could just put the bounce land in, bounce whatever it was targeting, and then Ely's just down a land. But the way that he navigated this made it to where Tomajko couldn't actually put lands into play at instant speed.
And another copy of Field of Ruin available.
And this is tricksy because he played that Mystic Sanctuary, targeting an Archmage's Charm, and then with that on the stack, chose to make create a shuffle effect.
And that means still going to be able to rebuy that Archmage's Charm and have it ready.
This is a huge setback for Tomajko. He's behind so many lands now. I guess with an untapped land, Garenbrig does it.
Let's see what the pickup is. There's the Cavern of Souls. Here's another Castle Garenbrig. And there we go, Primeval Titan. And the ball is well and truly rolling.
All right, and this is what Tomajko needed to happen in order to actually start getting any sort of advantage here.
And I think Tomajko has the right spread to go ahead and start using Field of the Dead. Field of the Dead here loses a bit of its luster now that Dimir Wurzer has reclaimed the combo kill. Usually this was enough to successfully pressure the old Urza decks. Now, still plenty of outs for Ely.
Yeah, at this point, just getting an Urza and then the Thopter Sword combo online is going to do it by itself.
Looks like we are burning a charm to draw 2 here.
Jumped through a lot of hoops to build a divination this turn.
Yeah. Inquisition of Kozilek. Nope. That's not going to do anything. Mishra's Bauble. And just passes the turn back to Tomajko. This is disastrous for Ely. And you see all the work he did in those early turns quickly undone by the single Primeval Titan.
And that's a lot of the power in this Amulet Titan deck. All it's really trying to do is get to 6 mana, and it'll figure it out when it gets there.
Right. And it just always does. You cast the Titan, you find some way to cobble together a game, seemingly every single time.
Bit Doctor Who fan, perchance?
No.
Ugh.
I probably should be, given my levels of nerddom in other spheres, but no.
It's fine. I like it, but ultimately it's fine, right? There's an episode where they're on Mars, and the phrase "water always wins" comes up a lot, and it feels very reminiscent of that, where Primeval Titan's going to get you eventually.
Titan always wins.
Right.
I buy it. So what is Tomajko's plan now? Are we just leaning super hard on Field of the Dead? How many copies in the main deck for Tomajko this week? It's a number that changes a bunch.
Just one.
Just one copy. I've seen 2 copies quite often. Occasionally you saw 3. Rare, but it happened. Vesuva. We'll figure out what that's copying. Sounds like Field of the Dead. Makes sense. And a bunch of zombies coming down. How about another search? the fair games have changed so drastically for this Amulet Titan deck. In this spot previously, without an Amulet, you were kind of just generating slow value. You expected to cast multiple Titans, and usually you were going to cobble together something that was lethal. Some kind of vigilant, hasty Titan was eventually going to get the job done. Now they have like 12 ways to kill you on the spot.
Yeah, this definitely just feels like something where you don't actually know what's going to happen anymore, except it's going to be Field of the Dead, and it's going to kill them. Right? It's just, before it was more, all right, I'm just going to get a Primeval Titan over and over and over. And now it's a little bit less controlled, but a good bit more inevitability.
Right. Talk to me about a possible path forward for Ely in this game. What does it look like if he's able to pull this out? Yeah, that sounds like a good
Foundry,
start. Yeah.
Sword of the Meek.
Okay. Those all sound like good Magic cards. What about some Cryptic Command chaining? Is that something that could be on the menu?
Yeah, there's definitely a point where Kassis could reach a spot where Tomajko goes to combat, beginning of combat, tap your team, bounce Mystic Sanctuary, and just does that over and over and over until he's able to find his way to the combo.
But it looks like Kassis is just going to go ahead and burn a charm, find nothing on the top of the deck. And Tomajko takes down game one in this particular fisticuff. Means it's sideboard time. We're going to head over to Oliver's side first. There you see 3 Ether Gust, 3 Dismember, 2 Engineered Explosives, a Tireless Tracker, Reclamation Sage, additional copy of Field of the Dead looming in the sideboard, and more Cavern of Souls as well, a Ghost Quarter, a Beast Within, and finally a Ramanap Excavator. Emma, what do you want to do if you're sitting in Oliver's seat?
So, for the most part, you want to be able to interact with the card Urza and be good against counter spells in general. So, I would expect Dismember to come in here, and the number's going to vary depending on what you think Kassis's deck is going to look like. Cavern of Souls going to be great against the Cryptic Command, Archmage's Charm, Deprive deck, naturally. Field of the Dead, quite nice whenever you expect Kassis to be able to interact with the first copy of it. And I could also see Tireless Tracker and Reclamation Sage coming in here.
Yeah, I think we could see some pretty big changes for Tomajko as we head into Game 2. Meanwhile, over on Ely's side, we're looking at 3 Ceremonious Rejection, 2 Battle at the Bridge, 2 Ashiok Dream Render, 2 Ether Gust, a Hero's Downfall, a Torrential Gear Hulk, Engineered Explosives, Dead of Winter, Kalidas, and finally a Graph Digger's Cage.
So the big ones here are Ashiok Dream Render and Aether Gust. Aether Gust is a way for you to actually deal with a Cavern of Souls Primeval Titan, which the deck struggles with a little bit, as we saw that last game. And Ashiok Dream Render shuts off the deck's ability to actually search through its library, which is such a big deal. There's even a point where if you've locked the game up enough, because the Ely's deck plays so much from his graveyard, you can minus the Ashiok and target yourself to fill a little bit of your own graveyard more, while exiling Tomajko's. Tomajko's graveyard doesn't matter as much, but the fact that Ashiok is, we'll say, 80% hate card and 20% engine piece is a pretty nice upside for Kassis.
Card I'd really like to spotlight a little bit here in actually both players' sideboard, Ether Gust. This is one that has only recently started to creep its way into the older formats, seeing it a bit in Pioneer now seeing it in Modern. Did you expect this card to proliferate this far back?
Yeah, honestly, it does a lot of things very well. It does a lot of specific things that other cards can't do. You know, a moment ago we mentioned the fact that it can deal with a Caverned Titan. That's such a big deal because before you really only had something like Unsubstantiate, which is just card disadvantage to play something like that. But Aether Gust undoing their next draw step at the least, or at the most completely dealing with a card if it goes to the bottom of their library, is just such an enormous upgrade in those types of situations.
Yeah, I think these players benefit a bunch from picking up this one. Got a couple of results in our other fisticuffs. You see Pete Ingram up a game in the Dimir Inverter Mirror, and Corey Baumeister up a game in the Azorius Control Mirror. Of course, all these players trying to solidify their position on the leaderboard, make sure they're going to be invited to the SCG Invitational. If you want to be invited to the SCG Invitational, how about heading to an Invitational qualifier? Of course, loads of prizes, $1,000 to the top 8. You get those invitational qualifications. You also get those valuable SCG points. Can go ahead and climb our leaderboard Beautiful top 8 playmat, exclusive tokens, all that good stuff at go.starcitygames.com/IQ.
I actually love this playmat, too.
It's cool.
The artwork on it is just gorgeous.
Very cool. And you see the food token represented there, our SCG exclusive food token. The poison apple.
Love a good poison apple. Caramel apples, wimpy.
How do you feel about candied apples?
Not as extreme as poison apples.
It's true. They're definitely less extreme.
All I'm saying is candy apples are the diving boards to poison apples cliff diving.
Okay. So when I have a Halloween party and I've made candy apples, I know you're not interested. You're going straight for my poison apples, which I always keep on hand, by the way. You never know.
This is recorded. Like, I am becoming... am I an accomplice? I might have to seek legal advice after this. I'm hearing a lot of...
I know a good lawyer. Don't worry. I got you covered.
Okay.
We'll talk after the show.
Well, we've been talking during the show, and that's really...
You're like, that's been enough, okay?
I kind of like that... I like that this hasn't been... I think it being on the record is important. Everything we say to one another.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea for your sake.
I can't comment on that one way or another until I seek legal counsel.
Well, Ely Kassis and Oliver Tomajko both seeking to avoid poison apples in their opening hands. What's the equivalent of a poison apple in Tomajko's deck? It's probably the Once Upon a Time drawn after you've played, like, your Sakura Tribe Scout on turn 1.
Oh, yeah. The 9th card, Once Upon a Time, is is the poison apple.
No worries this time for Tomajko. Just has that beautiful, clean Once Upon a Time. Uses it to go get a bounce land.
Oh, there are 3 more.
They can always show up anytime.
Where there's a draw, there's a way.
Well, that's true. Mystic Sanctuary going to be the turn 1 land from Ely Kassis. Just plays that one tapped. Boy, this looks a lot less explosive than Urza did a few weeks ago, huh?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We don't have any of those. Okay. So, Mox Opal, Mishra's Bauble. I will then tap 1 for Ingram's Astrolabe, and then tap 1 for Imri, and then I'll mill 4, and Bauble you go.
Yep, so slowed down a little bit. Feels a little bit more realistic these days. Inquisition of Kozilek from Ely Kassis one more time. Some nice targets this time, though. Either a Ramanap Excavator or an Azusa going to hit the bin.
Right, and this Excavator is quite nice whenever you see all of those Field of Ruins in the way that Kassis prioritized them game 1. I really like this inclusion from Tomajko here. Paying a lot of respect to what Kassis is doing.
So I liked Ramanap Excavator quite a bit in Amulet Titan lists before. I thought it was often a strong sideboard card. It's only gotten better as they've picked up a few fetch lands along the way. Tomajko's list pretty low on fetch lands. There's just a Windswept Heath. You occasionally see 2, sometimes 3 copies, pretty rarely, but just a little bit more value tacked on for that Excavator. But the choice was Azusa, and here's a strong follow-up from Ely Kassis. It's Ashiok. And it looks like that's going to turn towards Tomajko here.
And one of the nice things here is when you actually get to see the fact that there's a Ramanap Excavator hanging out in Tomajko's hand, you can actually attack that a little bit more.
That makes sense. It does, of course, make the Ashiok a little bit more vulnerable to attacking, but I assume Ely probably has that path covered. How about an Urza?
The Lord High Artificer?
Nice of Urza to join the party. Really missed that card.
So a lot of the upside of targeting Tomajko with this Ashiok over and over is we see that Sunhome hanging out on top of Tomajko's
and look
deck.
at this. Tomajko just going to go ahead and pack him up.
Yep. Bullet's gone. The way to actually punch through this Urza is gone. Tomajko knows that's it.
And a quick, efficient win from Ely Kassis in Game 2 of this particular fisticuff. All squared at a game apiece. That felt like a fast scoop, but I guess with Urza on the battlefield, the writing's kind of on the wall there from Tomajko.
Yeah, there's certainly a point where your Ramonap Excavator doesn't do anything, and if your hand is just a couple more lands, you know you're just dead. A turn 6 Primeval Titan is literally just a Colossal Dreadmaw, and you know what? I'm not going to play Colossal Dreadmaw in Modern. I'll say it. I'm too proud.
I've cast my share of Colossal Dreadmaws. Unfortunately, when Blood Moon was more prevalent, you played a lot of Colossal Dreadmaw games. You never won, but you played them.
Whoa. Getting 2 forests is not Colossal Dreadmaw. I have played enough M11 Limited to love the ramp that comes from that. Well, to accept the ramp that comes from that.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. You try and find another home for it in a lot of instances.
A sun home, if you will.
A sun home is a nice place to put that mana, sure. Of course, Reclamation Sage always might show up.
And you know, now that these Amulet Titan decks are playing Valakut, Blood Moon's a Nombo, right?
I guess that's one way of looking at it. Why don't we take a little peek in on our standard match? We'll come back to see the conclusion of this Modern match, but we could spend a little time over here with our friends Corey and young Jonathan Rosum. See if there's anything interesting we can pick up here.
Too.
Yeah, Sheen Sarani making his appearance on the battlefield. Coming from Castle Ardenvale, I'm assuming. Corey with a couple of Planeswalkers set up. Worked a lot on these Azorius control lists very early on in the format before I got distracted by other things, we'll say. But I was impressed with their power level.
Distracted, you will say.
I like what Corey did with his list, picking up on a lot of the lessons. It took me a long time to learn. Corey probably understood them right away. He's very good at Magic. But 4 Elspeth Conquers Death in the main deck for Corey Baumeister, alongside 4 Narset Parter Veils.
That's a message.
Yeah.
He knows what he is attacking.
Picking up a Narset with 6 counters on it feels good. Feels real good.
Speak of the devil.
Yeah, and here comes an Elspeth Conquers Death.
Ooh, look at this swing.
Kill all your Planeswalkers. Goodbye.
Well, exile one of them.
Thank you.
Well, it matters because now
Baumeister,
Baumeister can't get that back with his own copy of Elspeth Conquers Death.
It absolutely matters.
I really like how Rosum navigated that. You can tell the way he just had Jace into Elspeth Conquers deck back to back. He had set that 1-2 punch up.
Here's another Narset from Corey. That's the good thing about playing 4. They tend to chain into each other really well. Yeah, the gas just keeps flowing with these Azorius controlled decks these days.
Oh, it definitely feels like it takes forever for someone to actually run out of cards.
Mm-hmm. Shatter the Sky. I love how we're playing an Azorius control mirror. Post-board, Shatter the Sky's got to be in there because you got to respect that Dream Trawler. Elspeth Conquers Death. Conquers Death? Question mark?
Elspeth Conquers Death.
I guess so.
Or ECECD for short.
Something like that.
Honestly, that just sounds like a rave or something.
Right. I'm going to ECECD this weekend.
Yeah, see, that just sounds like a real sentence to me. It's like, oh.
No alarms were triggered in that sentence.
Tight.
It sounds like we have a result from our Dimir Inverter Mirror match. It is Peter Ingram picking up the W there, putting the team of Kassis, Ingram, and Baumeister in prime position to take down this match. Those Shaheen Sarani's doing work for Jonathan Rosum. Here's another Elspeth Conquers Death.
ECECD.
I thought you went to ECECD last weekend. No, it's a 2-weekend show, bro. Going back again. Never ends.
I think the long version of it starts to sound like one of those weird commercials for like a settlement or something. Call 1-800-EC-EC-ECD.
Sure. Well, Dream Trawler showing up to the party. This is an impactful Theros card. I will tell you, day one of the format, when nobody respected this card, you literally just cast it and won every single match.
Yep.
It was incredible.
Completely believe that.
I think that has changed a little bit as the format has moved on. But still a powerful, powerful Magic card. Who's winning this game right now, Emma?
I am under the impression that Rosum is. We have an Elspeth Conquers Death about to come off, which has got to be good enough.
You're Shatter this guy. That feels real nice.
Yeah, and so Baumeister's non-creature spells also just cost more now.
Right.
At least for the turn cycle, and that's pretty brutal. The fact that Elspeth Conquers Death is also going to bring back a Teferi that Baumeister doesn't get a chance to counter is a huge swing.
In response to that Elspeth Conquers Death going off, we're going to do a little scrying.
God, I saw 2 mana, and I was really hoping it would be Tails End.
That would be a blowout. There's also Whirlwind Dismissal, although it wouldn't have been effective in that scenario.
You only need 3 of them to get through there.
Sure. That's a card that's going to blow some people out from time to time.
Oh, yeah.
I love this play. Minus Teferi, bounce Omen of the Sea back to your hand. Replay Omen of the Sea.
Check that you have 7 cards in hand.
Right.
Pass.
Yeah, and Rosum very clearly winning the resource war here against Corey Baumeister right now.
And this is a spot where we don't see Baumeister conceding because both Rosum and Tomajko have to actually win their entire match.
Sure.
For Kassis, Ingram, Baumeister to not win the match here, or at least get a draw.
See Rosum ready with the Absorb for that Teferi. More Omen of the Sea, why not?
Is that just land on top? Tell me he just left land. Okay, land Mystical Dispute.
It seems fine too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you have all these Castle Vantress, Castle Ardenvale, ways to sink your mana into things, and you're ahead on the battlefield, if you have a couple counter spells, making sure you just hit your land drops is a perfectly fine way to spend a couple of turns.
Now, we didn't see the early turns of this game. We don't know exactly how we reached this point. It would not surprise me at all if the determining factor in the lead that Rosum has now built is Castle Ardenvale on his side of the battlefield. Being able to produce those Shaheen Sarani tokens to pressure opposing planeswalkers totally changes how you can play the game.
Absolutely. We saw Baumeister lose out on, 2, 3, 4 cards because of that?
Yep.
They have just been enormous.
Yeah, whereas Rosum's Narset continues to just sit on the battlefield, denying Corey Baumeister any path to possible card advantage. All of Baumeister's Narsets answered by Shaheen Sarani. EC, EC, EC.
Well, these ones aren't
EC.
conquering death. So I think that's just an ECD, which now sounds like a law you can break.
Right, but it's also been absorbed. So now it sounds like a vitamin. Like I went for my ECD treatment.
Oh, yeah, no, I had to go to the doctor because I wasn't properly absorbing my ECD.
Right.
Yeah, no, I buy that.
Things got weird on Theros somehow.
Somehow, yeah, I mean, the death coming back to life was normal, but now it's gotten
Yeah, now
weird.
it's weird.
Yeah. No, yeah, for sure.
Thanks, Elspeth, for making it weird.
Shouldn't have CD'd.
Oh, my goodness. Second Castle Ardenvale. That could matter a lot, too.
See Corrigan in the back chilling. Like, all right, well, this game's over.
Getting a little rest in that beautiful Carnox gaming chair. Dream Trawler back in the mix for Corey Baumeister. You want that card to be good, but feels like too little too late, Corey. Castle Vantress going to be the active castle.
Shadow of the Sky. Top card.
Why not?
You know what? Those look great.
Yeah, just cast it now. Why wait? Trying to get a scoop from Baumeister, reveals the hand filled with Dovin's Veto, and that is going to get this concession. And now, both undecided matches sitting at 1 game apiece.
And neither Tomajko nor Rosum can give anything else up here, or that is the entire match.
Absolutely.
They have to win both remaining fisticuffs.
High pressure situation. But that's why you come for fisticuffs, Emma. You want to be in these situations. You want to play with all the marbles on the line.
Is marbles even real? Is that still a real game?
Yeah, we determined this. Widely played.
I thought we determined that nothing is real.
Jury's out on that one. Depends how much you want to trigger my existential dread here in the booth. In general, we keep it at a low volume most of the time. I think it's best for the broadcast.
Yeah, we'll stick to the nihilism.
Yeah.
Keep it casual.
Here's a casual Once Upon a Time. My favorite type of Once Upon a Time.
Is actually Comp REL.
This is a real Magic card that exists. Wild stuff. Free cantrip. Fire it off.
We're only like 1 or 2 bannings away from it being unmade.
That's true.
It's real close to getting the mental misstep treatment.
I think I mostly like it in Modern. I know a lot of people will debate me on that. That's fine.
I understand you, the primeval Titan-loving fiend, like this card. Like,
you get why I'm into it? Yeah.
We know.
No, Modern's a powerful format, and as time goes on, it's just going to get more and more powerful. I think it encourages the style of Magic that most Modern players are really into. At some point, that could totally break down.
It's one of those rotten apples.
Found one.
This is a rough hand to have that apple taken.
That's the thing about Amulet Titan Once Upon a Times, though, is they don't rot all that hard. Like, you're mostly just with a little stomach ache. Your apples aren't all that poisoned. They're just lightly poisoned.
I mean, who doesn't love a light poisoning,
right.
Honestly? Having 2 Field of the Deads is also kind of a feel-bad here.
Yeah, this is a weird little hand for Tomajko. It could develop very nicely.
Oh, yeah. Just finding something like an Azusa here could turn things so quickly, or something that just puts more lands onto the table. Is all Tomajko's really looking for.
He is short a bounce land as well to really utilize that.
I mean, he only needs 1 more. Well, I guess he would need 2 green sources to activate Castle Garenbrig anyway.
Yeah.
Well, not if we hit Dryad of the Elysian Grove.
That's true. Another use for that card. Yeah, and so Kassis had the option to go ahead and take Primeval Titan with the Thoughtseize. Instead, chose to take that Once Upon a Time.
Right. And the thought here is that Tomajko doesn't really have much to bridge to this Primeval Titan early. So if Kassis' plan is to counter it anyway or turn it off with something like Ashiok, attacking the cards that bridge is going to be more powerful.
Makes sense to me.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, this game could look a lot different if Kassis is able to put together an Urza. A little sword action. I can't get over how different these Urza decks feel presently versus what we were seeing just a couple weeks ago. It's clear why. Very obvious this would be the result. But the gulf is just so wide.
Right. Before, Oko just let you slow things down in a single card because it answered so many cards and problematic permanents on its own. Now you actually have to sink more mainboard real estate into doing that.
Right. Interesting development for this modern format. I like what I've seen thus far of it today. Games have certainly been much cleaner, much more interesting. A lot of Titans, for sure. But I think we're seeing decks challenge the Titan decks very well.
Right. Kassis' deck here is one that we can see pretty clearly is gunning to attack Primeval Titans. You don't accidentally register several main deck copies of Field of Ruin.
That's smart deck building, given the priorities coming into this weekend. Let's see if Tomajko's hand's starting to come together now.
He's had a couple draw steps since that last Thoughtseize. One of them, I believe, was a Gruul Turf, which puts us pretty close to actually getting a Primeval Titan online here.
Azusa.
Ooh. Well, that gets us pretty close to Primeval Titan.
Yeah, that does it. And so the discussion now, I'm assuming, is do we just jam a Titan into 3 open blue mana?
Or what if Kassis steals the amulet?
Could do that. Looks like Castle Garen Brig going to be the first drop. Field of the Dead, second land drop. And pass the turn.
Oh, is the bounce land Boros Garrison?
I did not catch it in hand. I'm not sure. That would be unfortunate.
So much worse than Gruul Turf.
Yeah. Now the turn's going to pass back to Ely Kassis. Able to start the Mystic Sanctuary game if he so chooses. Does not. Just a basic island. Excuse me, a snow-covered island. Here's Urza. Just a sword away from infinite life. Tomajko has to be sweating right now.
And you have to assume that Kassis knows a Primeval Titan is coming down this turn. Oliver literally just needs a mana source, so I would imagine Kassis has something like Deprive to just counter it for 2 blue mana, or something to at least hurt what Primeval Titan can do here.
Could also just think he beats Titan.
It's a tall order against an amulet and an Azusa.
It absolutely is.
I guess at this point you're Pact of Negation proof.
Oh, it was Boros Garrison. Looks like we're going to consult on down the line, get some feedback from an old school amulet player, Jonathan Rosum.
Well, you're calling 2017 old school.
I feel like I've lived 1,000 years
My back
in the last
hurts.
3 years of Magic.
Oh, yeah, January, longest year of my life.
Yes, I believe that. Ether Gust is the counterspell that
Oof.
was available. That's a big one from Ely Kassis.
All right. Are we dead?
A lot of cards that do it here. Wow, Ely can float that Ether Gust to the top of his deck at instant speed and then spin the Urza.
Well, you shuffle your deck after you spin the Urza.
That would be nice if you could do that, though, right?
Oh, yeah.
I guess there's a reason we skipped that. Now I put it together. But he would have a greater chance of hitting the Ether Gust.
Well, I'm going to tell you something.
Please do.
That's true.
Yes. Just how we drew it up.
You are right as heck.
Can't dispute facts, Emma. And I have put forth a fact eventually. I got to a fact eventually. I got some nonsense first. But
What are facts?
again,
Like, are we here?
unanswerable
Is this-
questions.
You know?
It could be anything.
Could even be a boat.
Right. It's a known fact.
That's a rock fact.
Matthias Hunt into the red zone. Emma probably wishing back into the booth right now with my continued outbursts of nonsense. But instead, he's going to stay on the battlefield, bringing the beats. And Boros Garrison's going to come down. Primeval Titan going to make another shot. 3 mana available this time for Ely Kassis, though. And Archmage's Charm answers that Primeval Titan.
Honestly, just seeing Matthias beat down the Primeval Titan deck is just... I hate it. It's not
flavor
right.
fail.
It is, yeah, this is not...
All right, now we're going to try an interaction that actually works and get Mystic Sanctuary to put Archmage's Charm back on top of the library. Fatal Push on Azusa. And now,
Grizzly Bear getting busy.
yeah, Ely's got the gas flowing. Second Thopter Foundry comes down.
4. Real beatdown.
Does Tomajko have another Haymaker in hand? Sakura Tribe Scout is not what I would term a Haymaker.
Well, it is hay.
I suppose. Ely going to cash in one of those Thopter Foundries.
Really just getting the whole coverage team in on this beatdown.
Nick Miller getting ready to fly onto the battlefield. There he is.
Revenge for the Players' Championship.
How is there no squirrel in this match? That's what I want to know. At some point, Amulet Titan is going to produce squirrels. I don't know how. I don't know why. It's going to happen.
You know, you can't just keep dreaming things and then insisting that they will become real life.
Oh, I can. That's how I've lived
Well,
my entire existence, and somehow it works out for me. I
Right.
really don't know how.
Admittedly, you can do that.
Right. Looks like it's time for an Urza spin. Ely does know the rules. Going to go ahead and shuffle first.
Love following the rules.
Yes, it's good policy. Going to reveal Fatal Push. Right on time.
All right, we take those.
Beats come again from Urza and Matthias. And the turn heads back to Oliver. Needs to find basically both Cavern and Titan. Hope there aren't more Ether Gusts around. Titan can win small ball games, but not against the battlefield that Ely Kassis has set up thus far.
Yeah, this is a spot where Tomajko needs to find something basically right now.
Just going to play Karoo. return Castle Garenbrig and pass the turn back. And the clock is ticking. Oliver Tomajko on life support here. Out comes Astrolabe. Matthias gets a little bigger, a little angrier.
Call that Sleet Wraith.
Sleet Wraith, I like it. Very clever. Five more mana spent. Time for another shuffle, another spin of the Urza wheel. What you got for us? Mystic Sanctuary. That does not feel good if you're on Tomajko's side. Ether Gust floats to the top of the library. And the beatdown squad comes through one more time. Kassis passes the turn back to Oliver. Going to need one heck of a turn here. There's Cavern of Souls.
Nuh-uh. No. No.
Is this happening?
Impossible. This is how Kaiba felt when Yugi had Exodia.
I have no idea what that means, but I agree entirely.
Whoa.
It is a Titan.
It's happening.
It's coming down.
It is actually happening.
Look, I still think there's a lot of road to cross here for Tomajko, but this is step one for sure.
This is impossible. No one's been able to summon him.
Emma goes deeper, and now the pieces are starting to make sense to me in some regard. I know we're talking Yu-Gi-Oh! I know there's something like that going on, but...
Oh, yeah.
I'm too old for this. I can't hang. Bring back Old Man Craig. I get his references. He talks about, like, Tom Petty and old people stuff.
Do you think I don't know who Tom Petty
no,
is?
I know you know that side of things, but you also know young people things, which Craig and I can't relate to.
What can I say? I'm the millennial version of middle-aged.
I like that moniker. Very useful.
Someone has to.
Meanwhile, time for Primeval Titan. What options do we have available here for Tomajko?
Kassis stealing the amulet with the trigger on the stack.
Seems smart.
Yeah, if you wait until Tomajko grabs the lands, that's it. They're untapping, and this Primeval Titan is probably going to combat.
What can Tomajko put together here, though? Still facing a ton of pressure. Angry Nick Miller ready to beat down.
He's just dead on the battlefield, right? You have to get a Radiant Fountain or else Kassis can tap Amulet, sack Amulet to Foundry, get a Thopter, tap the Thopter, sack Astrolabe, get a Thopter, tap the Thopter, sack Foundry to itself, and you just have 4 flyers against one blocker, or against however many blockers Field of the Dead makes.
Yeah, Tomajko going to need some life here. Now the question is Radiant Fountain still in the deck?
Yeah, if you can get exactly the card Radiant Fountain here, that could maybe do it.
It looks like he got... Is that Battlements?
Teleria West and Handwear Battlements,
yeah,
I believe.
I don't think that's going to do it. Now Ely has to see the line. Is step one. But here we go. Start cashing in some artifacts, and that is going to get the handshake, and you just have to believe wasn't left in the deck at that point, which makes sense.
Yeah, it's definitely not one of the matchups where you think 2 life is going to be the make or break.
It's so funny. I have that come up all the time, though, where, like, you're in this spot where you never expect to need the life, and if you just had it, it would somehow pull you out of the game.
Yeah, somehow you just go, wow, I